Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find one footballer either sold or loaned out by each team this summer that the fans have barely noticed. This is a transfer that was so under the radar that would have completely bypassed most people. Christ, well, some of these departures are so understated, even their own mothers are probably behind on the news. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Konstantinos Mavropanos, Stuttgart. Yeah, remember when Konstantinos Mavropanos was the next big thing coming through at Arsenal? Listen, I know, for the past 10 years or so, the Gunners have been defending like a pack of constipated cows. They needed anything, a flicker of hope to hold on to. So when Konstantinos Mavropanos kept a couple of clean sheets at centre back in 2018, put in a half-decent shift at Old Trafford, Arsenal fans were falling over themselves to lick his face. Well, the joke's on you, because I guarantee you will never see this man again. This guy is currently 22 and just been booted out on loan to Stuttgart, and I bet half you didn't even notice. This guy's just been packed in a suitcase and dumped on a plane to Germany, and now one of you is battered a goddamn eyelid. Aston Villa, Russian Hepburn Murphy, Paphos FC. Yeah, I remember when Russian Hepburn Murphy was held up as the shining light in what was a dark and bleak period of life for Aston Villa 5 years ago. While the rest of his teammates stumbled about like drunken lepers, he was marking his debut at 16 years of age, becoming the second youngest player in the club's history. Most Villa fans saw him as the next Gabriel Vallodolid, who went on to play nearly 400 times for the club, despite possessing the first touch of a paralysed billy goat. But now, at the age of 22, Hepburn Murphy has finally left the club, being chucked out to Paphos FC in Greece. You know, the team which employed Jason Punchin. Hepburn Murphy, he probably didn't even get a goodbye from the canteen dinner ladies. Has anyone shed a tear? Quite a sad end for what was once a promising talent. Brighton, MOOY, Shanghai, SIPG. Okay, to be fair, Brighton fans would have to be partially blind in one eye to not at least notice the lack of MOOY on the pitch this season, but this was still a transfer that went under the radar. I'm guessing there's a few of you out there who missed this transfer completely. But yeah, on the 28th of August, MOOY, who only signed a permanent deal at Brighton in January, decided that he'd rather chuck his Premier League ambition in a bin to instead cake his face in gold out the back arse of China. Triggering a £4 million release clause, MOOY, who's arguably the club's best player last season, is now onto the third continent of his career, signing up to sit in a dressing room with Oscar, Hulk, Marco Arnautovic and a bunch of Chinese nobodies. What a bizarre collection of footballers. Burnley, Aaron Lennon, Kayserisport. Yeah, remember when the English media were tipping Man United to replace Cristiano Ronaldo with Aaron Lennon back in 2006? Now that's probably seen as some sort of sick joke, because at the age of 33, Aaron Lennon has completely left the Burnley building. Such was his complete lack of impact at the club, I doubt there's any Burnley fan out there who gives two hoots. For a Burnley fan, hearing the news that Lennon has left Turf Moor, it's probably up there with finding out the price of bread has been slashed at Asda. Pretty sure you're going to forget within 30 seconds, and I'm guessing no Burnley fan on the planet even cared to check where he ended up. But I'll tell you, he's out in Turkey signing up for relegation battles with Kayserisport. Chelsea, Nathan, Atletico Mineiro. Alright, right now, Nathan probably feels like the guy who escaped Shawshank prison. I don't want to call Stamford Bridge a jail, but if you're one of the 30 players trapped in the annual loan move away from the club, it's almost like your career is just being stuck in an eternal dishwasher. Like so many Chelsea rejects, Nathan was trapped in the annual loan moves, spending his life living out of a suitcase, with most higher ups at Chelsea not even a clue who he is. The midfielder was a £4.5 million signing from Brazil back in 2015. He was tipped as one for the future, but lads, he wasn't even the best Nathan at the club. He's finally escaped, returning to Brazil with club Atletico Mineiro, and I'm guessing not a single Chelsea fan has even noticed. Crystal Palace, DION-CURTIS Henry, the couch. Yeah, this transfer is barely being noticed by the pigeons on the street. DION-CURTIS is a 23-year-old goalkeeper who was snapped up from Peterborough in 2017, was initially named on the bench on a famous win over Chelsea, and then pretty much nothing, with Roy Hodgson obviously deciding that he clearly had the reflexes of a burst balloon. Christ him up, he spent last season on loan to Hampton and Richmond Borough FC. Is it any wonder he was released this summer? Everton, MAARTEN, STEKELENBURG, Ajax. Okay, there's a few players who have been dumped by Everton this summer, but one that might have slipped through the cracks is MAARTEN Stekelenburg. On the face of it, you'd have assumed this 37-year-old Everton third choice goalie, who hasn't played a Premier League match since 2017, was just some rotten old lump of bones. But no, put some respect on his name. This is a guy with nearly 300 games for Ajax, who was apparently first choice to replace Edwin van der Sar at Man United, not David De Gea. He's a World Cup finalist with nearly 60 caps for Holland, and so finally, after wasting away nearly half a decade of his life staring at Jordan Pickford in the shower, he's eventually quit the club, returning to Ajax. Not a bad career move for a rusty, nearly 40-year-old goalie who hasn't been picked by the last 4 Everton managers. Fulham, Jordan Archer for the couch. In 10 years, I think even Jordan Archer himself will forget he ever played for Fulham. This is a 27-year-old goalkeeper who was released by Oxford in January, then was snapped up by Fulham, never played, and was released in July and has now just failed a trial at Bournemouth. Good Christ, he must be terrible. Leeds, Josh Schergel, Solihull Moors. Okay, clearly Marcelo Bielsa is trying to hang on to everything he's got this summer. Leeds have only sold one footballer, just one, and I'm guessing most fans don't even have a clue who he is. I know I don't. Josh Schergel, some 18-year-old left back, has been spat out to Solihull Moors. This guy was actually Bielsa's first ever signing at Ellen Road, snapping him up from Walsall at age 16. Leicester, Faik Bolkiah, the couch. Faik Bolkiah was the richest player in Leicester's squad and he never played a single game. This was just mental. This is a 22-year-old winger born in LA, has never played a senior game of club football and yet still captains the Brunei national team. Any idea why? Probably because his dad is a sultan of Brunei, a man worth nearly $30 billion. Bolkia could literally employ the entire Leicester team to serve as butlers in his house. He could use James Maddison as a human footstool. But anyway, this guy, formerly of Southampton, Arsenal and Chelsea, has finally ended up on the employment heap. But considering he probably wipes his arse with £50 notes, I don't think he'll be signing on down the dole. Liverpool, Keanu Hoover, Wolves. Okay, Liverpool fans have been caught up in the excitement surrounding Diego Jota's £45 million arrival from Wolves. Bit sad though, nobody seems to notice that Keanu Hoover's gone the other way. This guy was supposed to be the next big thing coming through at Anfield. He's a Dutch defender who was making his debut against Wolves aged 16 years of age. He's the club's youngest ever footballer to play in the FA Cup and the third youngest in the history of the club. He signed a 6-year deal in 2019, was even scoring for the club in the EFL Cup last season, becoming the 4th youngest player to ever do so. And now they've just cashed in for £13.5 million. Just seems a bit of an anticlimax for a kid once held up as the next Trent Alexander-Arnold. Man City, Claudio Bravo, Real Betis. Okay, David Silva was given the hero's goodbye as he returned to Spain with Real Sociedad. I'm sure Man City fans are aware that Claudio Bravo's gone, but does anyone really care? The fans have barely even acknowledged it. Probably because he hasn't been first choice goalie in 3 goddamn years, and probably because he hasn't been forgiven for having fingers made of melted Twix bars. Tries above, he nearly cost him top 4 alone back in 2017. But yeah, he signed Real Betis, playing for a 39-year-old captain who made his debut for the club in August 2000. That is mental. Man United, Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, Oldham. Okay, the media definitely acknowledged golden child Angel Gomez leaving Man United for Lille, but where was the fuss for poor old Cameron Borthwick-Jackson? Not a flicker of emotion from any Man United fan. This guy has been on the books of Man United since 2003. That is 17 years. The Lord of the Rings was still in the goddamn cinema at the time, and nobody seems to want to acknowledge that he's left, signing a 1-year deal at Oldham Athletic. Are we forgetting this guy was a nearly first choice left back at Man United 5 years ago? I remember while he was on loan at Wolves, I looked the guy dead in the eye whilst he was warming up for the touchline. I can sense even then as he stared into the abyss, he knew himself that his career was halfway down the toilet. Probably why we briefly bonded. Newcastle, Jamie Sterry, the couch. Okay, Newcastle have rid themselves of a large chunk of deadwood this summer. Rob Elliott was given a nice send-off, whereas with Jack Colback's departure, Newcastle fans probably immediately touch themselves in the bath. One that has massively gone under the radar though is Jamie Sterry. This is some bang average Geordie right back that gets wheeled out for a few cup games every year, but he turns 25 this season. He's not a kid. And considering an expired yogurt pot would probably keep DeAndre Yedlin out of the starting 11, Sterry must have all the defensive capabilities of a wet phone book. The tale of Sterry's career is probably a ghost story that Paul Dummett reads his kids, because that could so easily have been him, Sheffield United, Ravel Morrison, Ado Den Haag. To be fair, the release of Leon Clark was expected, but considering he was part of 2 promotions, his departure has probably been a bit understated. One that's been completely missed out is Ravel Morrison, leaving the Blaze after 1 year for Ado Den Haag out in Holland. You might have thought the penny had dropped for this guy, you know, being given a Premier League lifeline at 26 years of age, but no, he hasn't taken his chance, and instead he's just continuing his career of signing for obscure clubs on the continent. Southampton, Alfie Jones, Hull City. Yeah, there's currently a guy called Alfie signing for Hull City. I think Sevens has found his new favourite player. Let's be honest, Alfie Jones is a 23-year-old defender but was never given a look at Southampton. No wonder the fans haven't blinked an eyelid. Half of them had probably never even heard of him. Tottenham, Michael VORM, the couch. Right, well anyone who watched the Spurs documentary will see how Jan Vertonghen was given a glorious farewell with a signed painting from the players. Michel Form, by contrast, barely anyone even clapped. He was practically just chucked into the local skip. To be fair, he was a 3rd choice goalie who never really got a game, but hey, don't forget, the guy used to be seen as one of the top keepers in the league. West Brom, Ali Al-Habsi retired. Okay, I'll hold my hands up. I had no idea Ali Al-Habsi was even at West Brom. This is a goalie who was playing Premier League football for Bolton back in 2006. He also had 4 years at Wigan. But yeah, after signing for West Brom last summer, he never played a game and is now retired. Do Baggies fans even realise? West Ham, Roberto, Real Vallodolid. Okay, you can understand why West Ham would have wanted to keep this one on the down low. I think everyone even loosely associated with the club is desperately trying to forget that Roberto ever happened. Because if Jack Anik never existed, then I say this guy was arguably the worst Premier League goalkeeper of all time. Christ off, he punched the corner kick into his own net. Don't worry lads, he's been given away to Real Valladolid in Spain on a free. Seems fitting that he would cost less than a Fredo bar. This is a club owned by Ronaldo. I'm not sure what he was thinking with this. Wolves, Morgan Gibbs White, Swansea. Is it just me, or has Morgan Gibbs White loan move to Swansea gone under the radar a bit? Less than 2 years ago, the English media was building up this teenage midfielder. Apparently he's the next Dele Alli. Now at 20, taking a step backwards into the championship with a loan move to Swansea, it's hardly the direction his career was supposed to be taking, because Ali at 20 was playing Premier League football, scoring double digits a season and representing his country at tournaments. Maybe Gibbs White isn't actually all that good. Anyway, that's the end of it lads. Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.